Hey guys, how you doing? We've been talking a little bit about colonial governments and how they're operating and whatnot. And so we're going to start to focus in on some of the regions that are going to be developing these colonial governments and stuff. We'll start off by focusing on the New England colonies. So that being said, let's take a look at these guys. For those of you that don't know, New England is in the northeast part of the United States. Today we call it the states of New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and today we have Maine. So, but if you look at this map, I do want you to kind of pick up on some of the different things going on at the time. So up here, obviously Maine was part of Massachusetts. This was the original colony of Plymouth. This was our Puritan buddies, our pilgrims. Here's Rhode Island. Here's Connecticut. Again, here's what you recognize as Massachusetts today, and then up here's New Hampshire. But eventually, this will become part of Massachusetts, and this will eventually become our good friends of Maine. So if you don't know, go have some blueberries and crab cakes. Not at the same time. But this is going to be the area that we're going to focus on today for our colonial governments and whatnot, and how we get started with these things. It's all going to start, again, back in England, and it's going to impact us. 1625, a guy by the name of Charles becomes the King of England. He's the first Charles I. What he did not like, though, was the Puritans. He did not like them calling for reform. He didn't like their attitudes about wanting to change the Anglican Church, wanting to purify the Anglican Church. And so what you see is when Charles is in charge, if you know that 1980 show, that's a great 80s reference. If not, I'm sorry. But anyway, when King Charles becomes king, he lets persecution get picked up against the Puritans. And the Puritans start to get really treated poorly, the Puritans that stayed in England. And so as a result, more Puritans, as a result, want to leave England. It's not that shocking. If you treat people bad, they want to leave. Duh. So 1629, a group of Puritans formed what we call the Massachusetts Bay Company. And this goes into what we have for the different types of colonies and whatnot. And they get a royal charter. So they're going to be a royal colony. They're going to go and establish a colony north of Plymouth. They are not joining the original Pilgrims. They are not joining the original Puritans. They're not wanting to join Plymouth. They're wanting to create their own colony. It's going to be Massachusetts Bay Colony. A lot of the Puritans back in England, since they were going to be part of the second wave, see this as a chance to create a completely new society. There are stories of what happened with the Puritans. They've read William Bradford's book on Plymouth Plantation. They've learned about the Pilgrim story, and they thought, if they can do it, we can too. Let's go to this area. And they want to create a society, and they're going to want to base it on religious teachings, which is going to be a little bit different. So this leads us to the Great Migration. We've talked about the Great Migration before, but this is that period of time from 1630 to 1640. A lot of people are going to move out of Britain. Economic hard times, people losing jobs, and frankly, the Puritans wanting to get away from King Charles. So over 15,000 Puritans are going to move along across the Atlantic Ocean. They're going to go to Massachusetts Bay Colony, not necessarily Plymouth. Puritans settled there, and again, they go there with John Winthrop, who is going to be the colonial governor. He was appointed by the king by royal charter. Again, this was not an elected position. And they're going to settle around the area that we call Boston. So you go up to Boston, and yeah, again, a lot of crab cakes and a lot of Red Sox fans, and I guess they're still Patriots fans. I don't know. But they're going to go up here, and it's very important for you to understand, the Puritans that started Plymouth, who we call the Pilgrims, this is a different group of Puritans, okay? Different group. So they're going to come in. At first, Winthrop and his assistants make all the colonial laws. They had been chosen by the colonial stockholders. They had invested in Massachusetts Bay Company. Again, they wanted to make some money. The king approved John Winthrop's position. And when they came, this is 1629, after about 5 years, the settlers who are coming over are demanding a larger role in government. They want a representative government. And what they're going to do is they're going to create something that is known as the General Court. The General Court is going to become an elected assembly as opposed to one that was created by the Massachusetts Bay Company. Here is an epic picture of the first building. This is the old General Court building, and they would go in here. People would come here with concerns, grievances, ideas, and things like that. Pretty sweet, if you can tell. Again, living large up there in the colonies when they're first starting out, right, guys? So church and state in New England. It's going to be interesting because remember what I told you a moment ago. They want to start a society based on their religious teachings. All right, that's going to be different. So the elected group in Massachusetts, again, we call these guys the General Court, and the General Court is going to do its best to represent the various people's needs. This court becomes a bicameral legislature, which, as you know, should be, it's that two-house, and it's going to be based on the British model. There's a House of Commons, House of Lords, same type here. You're going to have that General Court where you have the House of Commons, you have your people coming in as representatives, and then you're going to have the people that frankly represent the company and what's going on over in England. Ministers are going to hold a lot of power in this government. And it's interesting. I'm bringing this up because I want you to remember, why did the Puritans leave England? Why did they want the Church of England to be purified? What was their big problem? Anybody remember? The priests and the bishops had too much power. So it's a little ironic that they're going to come here and they're going to create their own society and then put their own religious leaders in charge. So on top of that, only male church members who owned land could vote. The Puritans came to America. Again, they were going to put these religious beliefs into practice. But here's the thing. They became intolerant of people of other beliefs. So they would criticize and persecute people who weren't Puritan. So let's say you came over from England and you were a Calvinist, or you were an Anglican, or you're a Catholic, or you're, a Baptist or something like that. They would persecute you, which is the very reason why they left England. And it frustrates me because it's like, well, why would you do the very thing you left England for? But this lack of toleration is going to lead to other colonies getting made. Okay, so this lack of tolerance is actually going to lead to other colonies, what you and I will call states today, being created. So the first place that changes is going to be Connecticut. A guy by the name of Thomas Hooker and his followers leave Massachusetts. They are done. They didn't believe, they weren't Puritans. They had a different faith. I believe they were Methodists or something. And so they went out and they went and started the colony of Connecticut. The Fundamental Orders of Connecticut were then written by Thomas Hooker. And he wrote this as the Constitution of Connecticut. And this is a big moment. This is 1639. And I want you to remember this. It's a big year because he, along with the cities of Hartford and two other towns, accept what are going to be called the Fundamental Orders of Connecticut. What he writes in this document is a separation of church and state. And this is a cornerstone of American democracy. All right, it is a cornerstone. So this document earns Hooker the nickname. He is called the father of American democracy because he talks about how religion and government should be separate, all right, and do their own thing. Government can't tell religions what to do. Religions can't tell government what to do. This is also the very first time an actual constitution, a plan of government, has been written in America. So this is a big deal. All right, this is very historically significant. Not only is it the first document, but it's also a document that is a structure of government, and it comes up with a completely new idea, separation of church and state. That's a big deal. Other New England colonies are going to follow suit. They see that Connecticut is successful. They're going to go off and do their thing. Roger Williams, he establishes another colony. He starts Rhode Island, and they came up with an agreement that they would tolerate other religions. Crazy. In other words, you had a freedom of religion. People of all faiths and worship, they could worship how they pleased. That's what, again, a basic American idea. Where are the ideas that we have today coming from? These people, okay? Separation of church and state, freedom of religion, freedom to worship how you please. These are all things that are being used in the colonies of New England. 1638, John Wheelwright starts up the colony of New Hampshire. It's going to actually fight. They're going to fight with the people of Massachusetts. They're going to fight with the Puritans, and they're going to fight for their independence as their own colony. Okay, they're going to fight to be free so they can be ruled by England on their own, if that makes sense, in 1679. They actually were shooting stuff up over this. This, again, is a little example of where we're at. And again, Thomas Hooker in Connecticut, Hartford, big time. Roger Williams, Rhode Island, and then up here's New Hampshire. Again, this used to be part of Massachusetts. This fought and got independence. They were going to fight over this kind of stuff. It's just interesting when you look at how some of this stuff is working and how it actually pans out. But if you're ever wondering where some of the ideas are, and they're still talked about and debated today, freedom of religion, religious tolerance, all of these things, they got started all the way back when we were still colonies of Great Britain. Something to think about. Hope you enjoyed the clip. I will talk to you more about it at the Zoom. All right. I will see you later. Take care, guys. Bye.